What's up YouTube, and welcome to my pickups video for the month of November 2025. Didn't do a whole lot of travel this month. I had a very short work trip to Denver at the beginning of the month and was only able to pop into one of the Game Force stores in the market there, a chain that we used to have here in St. Louis back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and they're all independently franchised, and so there's just a couple of them left in the Denver market. The sad thing I heard about that, going to that store, is that the one that's in Boulder, which I didn't visit this time, is closing at the end of January, which is really sad because that store has been there since the mid-90s and is absolutely stacked. There's tons of great stuff in there. GameSack has referenced just how much great stuff is in that location. So if you're in the Colorado market, get out there while you can and pick up some good stuff, because that store has always had good things and the manager is really cool there. So very sad to hear that. The other location in Aurora, Colorado is staying open as of now, but that's where I visited this time and ultimately didn't get anything. So really the only thing I have to show is stuff from mail order, because I didn't even find anything locally this month either. It was pretty dry. The other thing I want to comment on before we get into pickups is I changed the lighting in my game room and I hate it. I thought that, you know, LED light fixtures were like the wave of the future and this is what everything is switching to. All the stores would have you believe that that's the smart thing to do. It ruined the lighting in this room. It already was bad. Now it's like I got dark shadows everywhere. I hate it. Thomas Edison was onto something when he created the incandescent light bulb, and I think I'm going to switch back to a incandescent light fixture. Just I got to find something different because I didn't like the one I had in here before either. So home improvement is a waste of money as well, and took away from some of my game buying budget because of little things like this that I'm trying to do to fix some stuff up in the house. And ultimately it didn't pan out, and now, you know, I've got a wasted light fixture that I'm not going to use. So that being said, bear with the crappy lighting for this video, and maybe we'll have something better by the time I make another one of these. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be a very PS5 new release heavy month. Basically like limited run, open the floodgates, and all the stuff I'd ordered over the last few months all showed up this month. Pretty much a game a week, it felt like. So got several shooters that I got in the mail from them. First one of these I guess we'll talk about is Eartheon. This is Yuzo Koshiro's newest release from his company Ancient. Very hyped game. It is on Genesis hardware, at least somewhat, because I think there is going to be a Genesis version of this, or Mega Drive version at some point. And it definitely has the feel of some of the classic Mega Drive shooters. It really just takes a little bit from all of them, it feels like, and mixes it together, at least the horizontal style ones. And I would say there's a level that feels very much like Airbuster or Aero Blasters, and then there's a level that feels a lot like Thunder Force 3, and then there's some other little homages to some of the other games, like Sagaya even, I feel like has a little bit of an influence on this with some of the bosses. So neat as far as the design, and you know, again, if you've played a lot of the Genesis shooters, you'll feel right at home with some of the tropes that it's trying to portray. But I really don't love the gameplay in this game. I think they could have done some things differently with it. Like I said, graphically it looks great, but the gameplay is a little bit off for me. One thing that's kind of annoying is that you have basically two shots, but to maximize those you have to push two buttons at the same time all the time. And they did offer the ability to map that to a trigger with both of those buttons firing at the same time, but I don't like using a trigger button to do my shooting. That's kind of annoying too. So I don't think you can change it. It's really weird because the game is very customizable, but I didn't see a way to change that. The other thing I don't like about the game is that there's no bomb button, at least that I haven't found, so you really are kind of on your own as far as just being able to power up your main shot and like some auxiliary shots, but there's no bomb to really help you out in some tight situations. And so overall I'm not completely sold on this. I feel like this got a whole lot of hype on YouTube about a month or two ago whenever like the first version started leaking out. Maybe it was on Steam or something like that. But now that it is available physically, I don't know if this one's really going to have staying power. And then I think the Mega Drive version of this comes out later, maybe early next year if I read that right. So maybe that would be kind of neat just playing this on native hardware. But in the interim, I don't know if I'm going to be going back to this one a whole lot. So it is Yuzo Koshiro, as I said, so you would expect the music to be amazing. I would say it is passable, would probably be my definition for it. It's nothing offensive, but it's also not something that you're going to think of like some of his classic soundtracks as you listen to this. So I don't know, man. I guess I thought that this was going to be a little bit more exciting, you know, overall, but maybe it was just all the other shooters I played this month, and this one kind of got lost in the shuffle. So that is that one. Let's talk about the next one that showed up. This was also from Limited Run, and this is Mamoru-kun Curse. Yes. Recurse. Sorry. The original game was Curse. This is Recurse. Basically a remix of the Xbox 360 and PS3 Japan-only shooter. This was developed by G.Rev, which is probably one of my more liked shooting companies because they were ultimately a break-off of Taito's talent that made a lot of their shooters. Formed their own company around the year 2000 and then made several games for Dreamcast and some other systems. And honestly, this game's pretty fun. This one tries to do something a little unique with the PS5 controller in that it uses both twin sticks if you want to. You don't have to. But basically you can use the right stick just to be like your permanent on shooting, and then you can steer your shot with the other stick, which is kind of neat. Works really well with some of the stages on this that have some tight corners and things like that. So I enjoyed this one. I think, you know, it was a game that I passed on back in the day. Like the PS3 version of this has gone insane in price, probably because it's really one of the only shooters on the system. And then the 360, like, it was just really so touch and go back in the day about, like, what was region free, what wasn't, and I never, like, went down that road because I just didn't want to do all the research. So I missed out on this one the first time around. Now it's got, you know, enhanced graphics and HD and all that beautiful stuff. But really, the gameplay in itself is solid, and I did enjoy this. So it has a few new modes and things like that thrown in. I haven't really dug into all those, but, like, as far as just the arcade mode of this, it's a pretty good time. I do think this got an arcade release, I believe, too, back in the day. I've never played it in arcade, but I'm sure that would be fun to try out, too, you know, on some native hardware. So, definitely like this one. Again, cool limited run, pick this one up. This is a City Connection port for PS5. That's not usually a good thing, but I didn't really detect any problems with this one, so maybe they got their stuff together as far as some of these shooters that they're actually releasing on new hardware. So, enjoying that one so far. Probably will go back to that one, actually. Just try out some of the other stuff in it. The next couple games came together. These are also limited run releases. These I got first early in the month. And I kind of mixed emotions on these. So, these are Toaplan arcade collections. And there's a Volume 1 and a Volume 2. And these are a little bit bittersweet because M2, the famous Japanese developer, was piecemealing a lot of the classic Toaplan games in very small packs of about 2 to 3 games each, and releasing them on the PS4 over the last 5-6 years, it feels like. It was like one game a year you would get from them. Like, they were very slow, and then sometimes they would do like a Cave release instead, or some other title, Rising, you know, whatever. And it just felt like it was going to take them forever to finish the series, and then meanwhile the PS4, you know, software is kind of dying out, so then was it going to switch to PS5? Well, it sounds like none of those things happened, and basically what happened is they moved the licensing to this to another company called Bitwave, from the parent company of what the dead Toaplan is now Tatsujin, with some of the original staff, and then Tatsujin licensed all the Toaplan games, it feels like, to Bitwave, which is a European developer, to make these packs. Yeah, kind of confusing. So what that means is you actually get some overlap with some of the games we already got in the PS4 packs, and then several games that actually, like, were the creme de la creme we've been waiting for with some of those other M2 releases and never got. So as far as, like, quantity, I mean, these are fantastic. You get 8 games per pack as compared to, like, 3 you were getting with the other ones, and you're getting some of their really top-end titles, and you really need both of these because there's some killer titles on both of them. As far as the quality, it's okay. I mean, it's not like the same front end as M2 is using, that's for sure. They tried to do some things. They made it very customizable, but almost to the point of, like, you lose interest in moving stuff around because there's just so many things to fiddle with. So, the other thing I will say about these is, like, the emulation on these is not perfect, and the reason I can say that is I actually own a couple of these games on original arcade hardware, and the sound in particular on Dog Yun is very messed up on this, which is sad because I really do love that game in the arcade. Playing it on my candy cabinet, and I would love to just have a perfect home version that I could play for convenience. So the other thing I have to talk about with these packs is the artwork is terrible. Like, I don't know why anybody would pick this up and want to grab this thinking that it has a whole bunch of classic arcade shooters on it. And then the other thing is, I thought, well, maybe there's a Japanese release that has better artwork. No, this is the world artwork. It looks the same even on the Japanese release that wasn't limited run, so I can't even blame them for it. I digress. But anyways, let me go over the game list on this, because it's got some pretty good stuff. So this is Volume 1. It has Tiger Heli, Flying Shark, Twin Cobra, Fire Shark, and I think we got probably most of those in the M2 packs. And then here's some of the new stuff that we were waiting for with the other ones. So you get Outzone and Fixate. Those were like kind of people shooters versus plane shooters. And I do have Fixate on the arcade hardware as well. I didn't really notice any issues with Fixate other than maybe the speed is a little off, but I'll have to go back and play my arcade version just to compare. Ultimately, that one might be fine. And then this one has Dogyun, which is a really cool late release game that never got a home console version. And it's kind of sad that it didn't because it's a beautiful game. And then Batsugan, which is one that just about everybody knows now. Batsugan also got a separate home release recently with another company handling it, so kind of just feels like Tatsujin, now that they have the rights to these games, they're just like, anyone want to make some Toaplan stuff, here you go. So hopefully they're making some money off this. But for the value, for the price, I'm not complaining. Again, you're getting a lot of killer games on this one, but ultimately just, I don't know if they really hold up compared to the quality of the M2 packs, and then as far as the arcade hardware, there's some misses too. So that is that one, but I did play that considerably. And then this is Volume 2, equally ugly artwork, just slightly different color scheme on the cover. And then let me go over the game list on this one as well. So this one has Slap Fight, Truxton, which is a lot of people's favorites. We did not get that on the M2 packs yet. Hellfire, which we did, Twin Hawk, Zero Wing. Of course, that's the game that had the notorious translation on the Mega Drive, but this is the arcade version, so it's slightly different. Vimana, which is actually a Toaplan game I never got to play. It was one of their later releases. I thought it was going to be great, because most of their like 1990 plus stuff is really well done. I was very disappointed by Vimana, so I'm glad I didn't ever buy the actual arcade hardware on that one, because I would have been incredibly disappointed if I got that. And then it has Truxton 2, which is great. I played Truxton 2 maybe once or twice before, but like now that I can play it whenever I want, it's fantastic. Really like that game. And then Grindstormer, which we got a Genesis version of in the US, but the arcade versions of that's a little bit significantly different. So cool pack here as well, as far as like the game selection. Again, they didn't, you know, put all the games, all the good ones on one pack. You really need both if you want to get all the cool titles, but kind of a mixed bag. But like I say, for the value for money, I mean, it's fine. You get a lot of games and a lot of stuff that very expensive arcade hardware if you want to buy it, and a lot of games we never got on home release. So those are all the PS5 new release stuff that I got from Limited Run. I think that actually like clears me out of stuff I was waiting for them from them for. And I also will say like they've sped up a lot as far as like their handling time, unlike some of the other limited print companies which are still way behind. The other thing I got this month, and this was just like kind of an impulse purchase like a week ago. I mentioned in my last video that I bought a homebrew or repro version of a Dreamcast release that never existed on the Dreamcast. It was arcade hardware on the Atomiswave. It was Dolphin Blue is the game. And then somebody made a fan translation, bootleg, whatever you want to call it, put it on the Dreamcast hardware because they're very closely related. Released it in a nice packaging and good price, and I was like, sure, I actually would buy that. So I took another chance. I bought another game from them, and this one I'm very disappointed with. Some of this is my own fault, so again, I'll own that. But this is Chaos Break. If you're saying Chaos Break on the Dreamcast, that doesn't make sense. Well, it's actually a PS1 game that we never got in the US, and it's one that I wish we would have because it came out in Japan, and then it came out in English in Europe, but we didn't get it. What is Chaos Break? So Chaos Break is a sequel to a Taito arcade game called Chaos Heat, not to be confused with Chaos Break. And Chaos Heat came out first on PS1 Essential Hardware in the arcades. Top-down, horror-y action game, and then they tried to make this one like a little bit more Resident Evil-ish, but still very arcadey, and put it out for the PS1 in Japan and Europe. Laughable translation, you know, all those things to boot, but just really fun if you like arcade style more than like true Resident Evil, heavier style gameplay. Totally seemed like something that was up my alley. I've always wanted that PS1 version. Just the hiccup is if I get the Japanese one, I can play it, but there's a lot of text in the game and I just didn't think I'd be able to keep up. And then the European one, I just don't have a way to play PAL games currently, so I haven't chased that one down, plus it's getting really expensive. So when this came out from that bootleg company, store, whatever you want to call it, I thought this was a great solution. I was like, okay, cool. Like, somebody took the time somehow to bring this to the PS1. This is going to be great. Now I can play it in English because they used the European PAL version. So here's what this actually is. and again, I didn't do my homework. I didn't fully read the listing, but I was very disappointed when I got it. So it is basically running Bleem, like a hacked version of Bleem for PS1 games on Dreamcast. That's how they were able to pull this off. But there's some serious limitations to it. So number one, the FMV just doesn't work. Like, it just can't do it. And then the way the game is set up is there's two main characters, a female character and a male character. And if you pick the male character, the game just bricks itself. Like, it can't play. And you have to choose the female character if you actually want to play. The other, and probably most glaring issue of this, and why I would not recommend even bothering with this, is that to be able to save your game, you can't. Because in the translation from PS1 to Dreamcast, like, it doesn't recognize memory cards. So you basically got to sit through and play this all in one sitting, which isn't going to happen for me at least. So that all being said, I emailed the seller. I was like, hey, I think you sent me a broken disc. Like, it's not playing with the characters. I'm playing the game. And he pointed me to the listing, and actually it did disclose that you can only play as the female character. And he also put in the listing that it does not play FMVs. And frankly, I just didn't read it. I thought, you know, hey, like, the other package turned out nice. I thought this was going to be nice. It isn't nice. So I don't recommend this. Again, I haven't even named the seller. I'm not mad at them, but I'm also just disappointed that, like, I wasted my money on this because I wouldn't have otherwise. So I'm back to the drawing board. I kind of know what the game's like now that I've played just a little bit of it, but I definitely would like to play this on true PS1 hardware. And, you know, again, unless somebody can figure out, like, a true hack to make this work properly, I'm not interested in all this. So that being said, and then the other thing that was kind of weird about this, and maybe this is just because it was an earlier release, the Dolphin Blue had really nice packaging, artwork quality. This one's, I don't know, like, a little bit crappy looking. Like, it just the inks and stuff like that didn't turn out so well. So maybe this was like one of their earlier takes on it, and then like Dolphin Blue is how they've enhanced it. So I don't know if I'm going to be buying any more of these repros, or if I am, I'm definitely going to read the fine print very closely. But this was definitely a miss for me. So didn't cost me a whole lot of money, but, you know, gives me pause on wanting to order any more. So anyways, lesson learned. I'll move on. So that about does it. Like I said, I did do some Black Friday shopping, but like none of the local game stores had any specials that really appealed to me. So maybe I'll find some stuff. Cyber Monday starts in December, so we'll see how it goes. But that about does it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.